that his beloved son Joseph had been killed, he rent his clothes. And today, what we do in honor of that tradition is we have a ribbon for the immediate family. We have Corky and his children, and we're going to do the blessing over the Kriya. Come up here. I apologize. I know that there were not quite enough of these for everyone, so I ask you to share. We're going to begin today by reading the 23rd Psalm together, and then I will chant it in the original Hebrew. And we have the wonderful Gail Mangerton will be here assisting us in music today, and I'm very, very grateful. So as we read together the 23rd Psalm. And this is something that King David wrote in honor of his own son who had passed away. And this is something that is said, recited, sung all over the world, all different faiths, different languages. It's universal. And it doesn't speak of pain. It speaks of love and faith. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guides me in the straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forevermore. Amen. Mizmor David, Adonai Ra'ulo Esam, Bina Deshe Yar B'Tzeini, ושבתי בבית לאורך ימים. There is a proverb. There are many proverbs. But there's one proverb, and it's a long, long poem, and it's quite beautiful. And this particular one, Proverb 31, is dedicated. You know, there are a lot of people we know in our history, all the forefathers, and we know all their names. We don't know a lot of names of the women in Torah. And Lauren's name is not among them, but this is a poem that was inspired by all the wonderful women that came before us and all the wonderful women that we experience in our lives. And it really speaks to me of Lauren, especially after I spoke with her family. This is called Eshet Chayil, and in English it means a woman of valor. אשת חיל נמצא ורחוק מבני מכרה, בטח בלב בעלה ושלל לא יחסר. She's a woman of valor, more precious than rubies or pearls. She's a woman of valor, with compassion so profound, she wraps your heart in her care, and you know she'll always be there. She extends her heart to those in need. She encourages her friends to succeed. She is a woman of valor. She sees Adonai in all of those around her with wisdom and kindness. You trust in her your secret fears. She enjoys the fruits of her labors. She feels proud of all that she does in the world, whether great or small. She feels proud of those whom she loves in the world, one and all. So let's celebrate. We praise and we love her. Vaha leluha v'sha'arim. She is a woman of valor. I would like to invite 3 wonderful young people who I'm going to ask you, Seth and Jessica and Derek, all 3 of you, to come up and join us together and share some words about your mother.
So I have to say, we originally planned on filming this because we didn't know if we could keep it together, so we'll see how we do. Am I going first? Okay, I'm going first. Okay, so my mom was an incredibly dedicated teacher, and seeing the joy and challenges that came along with this work encouraged me to go into teaching. And so thinking about like passing these things down the family line, I was thinking about how we Troy kids have been so lucky to be the recipients of some core values cultivated by the women in my mom's family line. So, from her grandmother, Anna Katz, she loved healthy eating before it was popular. She loved vitamins, she ate raw garlic and vegetables. She was a fan of good posture and the benefits of a good massage in Gigi's massage parlor. She would set up her massage parlor whenever she came over and give all of us kids a full body massage. It's amazing. and the importance of family from my mom's mom. Carolyn Shirley Shepherd. Still, the healthy eating. It was ubiquitous at her home. She had cut veggies out on her kitchen table anytime we came over. Also generosity, spiritual strength, and then the importance of family. And then from my mom, Lauren Judith Troy, inclusiveness, groundedness, attentiveness, and caring. She had seemingly infinite patience and delight in imaginative play games and having interest in whatever her children and grandchildren were interested in. And still, always, the importance of family and gathering. These are core values that Seth and Derek and I have been lucky to grow up with. And then we get to pass on Corky and Lauren's values to our children, her grandchildren, Rosemary, Lula, Daniel, and Eli. And so these values of her hopefully live on with our kids and with you guys and friends and family. All right. You guys are probably both gonna hold it together way better than I did. So the bar pretty low there. Okay. Do you want to go next?
Hello, everyone. I was here in the 1980s when I was 13 years old. I had my bar mitzvah, and now I'm here again. And I'm just honoring my mother here in 2024. And I'm thanking all the people who came for this. My mother gave great support to all of the deaf children who grew up in the temple here. And many people learned to sign. Our whole family learned sign language. My brother and sister have their children that they've taught, and they've made a good effort to continue to sign. And when they established different classes of the different ages of the kids with the neighbors and everyone came together, so we would teach them sign language and practice together. Mom also worked as a teacher here a few times, every Sunday. And she would teach the deaf children how to sign and teach them in sign language. And then that has continued. In the past, for the past month, as I saw my mom on hospice, under hospice care, I
stopped to get some Chinese food.
Stopped to get some Chinese food.
I got a fortune.
And the fortune cookies we broke open, and I have the fortune here. And I collect them. And it says, you will succeed in your job or work. So you will succeed in your work, is what the fortune cookie told me. And I thought that was the perfect time, that God is looking down on us. And that helps so much. So thank you all so much.
So Heather's kind enough to read mine, because I definitely would not make it through it. Okay. There you go.
Okay, these are incest words. Mom loved kids. Well, she loved most everyone, but she particularly loved kids. I think maybe it came from the part of her nature that made her such a wonderful human. She got her degree in teaching, taught in Harlem, and she was the only teacher in the school the day that Martin Luther King was shot. Thanks to some understanding rioters, she was able to retreat back to her apartment intact. She eventually then moved to Chicago and spent her career teaching because she loved kids so much. Fortunately, she got to help raise 4 grandkids, Rosemary, Lula, Daniel, and Eli. She was a kind of grandmother like in the fairy tales, loving, caring, devoted, with a mix of blind devotion, wisdom, and a lot of fun. In my mind, the story that represents Lauren as a grandma was the time that 8-year-old Daniel was in a play. He was so excited and asked his grandma to come. It was a really busy time for her, and she only had 2 days. So she got in the car at 6 a.m., drove the 12 hours to Washington, D.C., arriving just in time for the play. So the play was really bad. But she found so many positive things to say about it, as Lauren did on all things. Her grandson felt heard, loved, and supported. And she ended up having to drive back like the next day, but it didn't matter because Daniel knew that she was there for him. She did this for all of her people. She did a wonderful job raising her children, her grandchildren, and taught them empathy, understanding, resilience, and a fierce love for family. Thanks to her, we are all doing well and thriving. Mom, Grandma, thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. How you doing, Seth?
She comes in handy.
Yeah. When I spoke with the family, I was kind of overwhelmed. You know, people always say nice things about their mothers. But this was kind of unique. The compliments, the memories, the love was just like a river. It just kept flowing. It just kept flowing out from everyone. It was just I was having trouble writing because I was kind of trying not to cry as they were all speaking. And this is what I was able to take note of. We knew we had a champion. She never gave up, and she never let go. The love and incredible respect Lauren's family shared for her was pouring forth in our meeting. Now, as you know, as one of her children shared, that Lauren grew up in Chicago in a very warm and beautiful way. She lived in a 2-flat with her parents, and then and her brothers, Marty and David, on 1 floor. And then there was what I heard Larry told me, her cousin, that in Larry, where are you? Yes, thank you for sharing. That it was like a blended family in this 2-flat, because Larry and his family, his parents, they grew up in the other floor of this 2-flat. So the aunts and uncles and cousins were all together in one building. And she and her cousin Larry grew up together with his mom, Eleanor, and their family. So they all shared holidays together with the relatives and everyday life as they lived as if one unit, including Gigi, their beloved grandmother, Anna Katz, who was there for all of them. And when I spoke to Charles, or Corky, as many of us know, and his family, I asked one, as we spoke, I asked one simple question, and this evoked this amazing response with smiles and joy. So I asked, so, was Lauren a good cook? Boy, it seemed that there was nothing more important to Lauren than her family, and one of her ways of showing her love was food. Now, every single member of her family shared just how much thought, consideration, and work went into making sure that every single person, from the youngest all the way up to Charles, had not only wonderful meals, but every treat, every possible potential request, and every unusual dietary need was met, even without asking. She always had just the right food, the candy, the dessert, and it was always there, ready to share with her family. And it would be nice if I didn't lose a pin. Lauren was always aware and respectful of how unique every member of her family was. And that included her attention to the dietary preferences. There were times she would prepare 3 different meals for her family at dinner. And they would always know that there'd be copious amounts of food for everyone. No one would ever go hungry, no matter what strict diet they were on. And, as Jessica mentioned, she was ahead of her time. Lauren was really into healthy food way before it was popular. And now her kids, I think, at least Jessica, I know, continues in that tradition. See, when she grew up, her father was a dentist. So he didn't allow all those lovely foods in his house. Nobody was allowed to drink pop. And there was a strong respect for nutritious food, and that was only one of his legacies. Because Harry Shepard, Lauren's father, his true passion was teaching. And this is a passion that he passed on to his daughter and now to his granddaughter. Being a stay-at-home mom until the kids were teenagers was very important to both Lauren and Corky. When the kids were older, Lauren was not only a teacher, but a special ed teacher. And she taught in Waukegan in a middle school there, and you know how important and how dedicated special ed teachers are. You know, Corky shook his head as he told me, I couldn't do for 5 minutes what she did all day. She had a passion for many important and significant endeavors, and she touched so many lives. Now, when I asked Corky how he and Lauren met, he said, well, I'm not going to tell you too much because I'm going to share my special information. As you can see, the large screen. But he is going to share his own special tribute to his wife. But I will simply say, and he did allow me this fact, that they met on a blind date 55 years ago. And the rest of the story you will hear later. But I do want to share the devotion, the support, the love that Corky had for his wife, that they had for each other. They did everything together. And through her illness, he has been a rock. He's been a rock for his family. He has held it so close to his heart that he protect Lauren and he protect his children and his grandchildren. And they love you so much for that, Corky. They know it, they see it, and they love you for that. So I need to go back to the cooking and entertaining part of her life. Why? Because this was more than just making her wonderful dinners for her family, so much more. As you know, her husband, Charles Corky Troy, has created countless presentations of every musical you have ever seen, and those that you may never see unless you go to his presentations. So who needs the movie when we have you? This has been the dream he carried with him through his youth, and while he worked in the family business, and then he left the family business with Lauren's complete support, and then enjoying a career in graphic design. And yet, Corky went deep into his passion for the exploration of Broadway and movie musicals, sharing incredibly detailed histories of each, and sharing these programs to all of us, and maybe, I don't know, thousands during all these years? Let's go with that. Let's go with that. I do know that Lauren was an incredible sounding board, and she was very insightful. Now, each of her husband's programs, they brought new and interesting and entertaining stories, music and facts that we never knew, and each of these presentations inspired Lauren to create a meal, a custom meal, to reflect each show that Corky was working on. They opened their home to friends and family to preview his work. This became quite the event. Each preview dinner had a theme. And Lauren cleverly put this themed meal together for all to enjoy. For example, and there were many, many more inventive evenings, but just one example was when he was working on Cabaret, she prepared an evening of German food. Now, and Thanksgiving, Lauren made a special treat. She made a lot of special treats, but this is something that I know that the family wants to carry on. Something that the family would fight over. She made rolls in the shape of a turkey. Not sure how you do that. And yet, I was told it's harder than it looks. She was constantly flipping through magazines and newspapers for food ideas. And her cousin Larry said to me, I close my eyes and I can see her in the kitchen. She was always greeting people, and she was always so welcoming to the many guests. And she was always the last to sit down. As I was listening to the children, their children, Jessica, Seth, and Derek, and then the grandchildren, they were coming in and out of the conversation, I really couldn't keep up with the loving and awesome words that they were telling me. And then I asked them to share some adjectives. Think now what you want people to say about you, just in case. But the adjectives were so prolific, and I'm going to share some of them with you. About their mother, their wife, their grandmother. She was grounded. She was never flashy, never showy, and she had terrific values, the basic qualities that they admire so much. And she was reliable. She was reserved, yet she was very particular about who she chose to spend her time with. And she was someone that you could be proud of, dedicated with a quiet confidence. But don't be fooled by all these quieter traits. They all lit up with big smiles as they said that she was also a free spirit. And she was up for anything, especially food. I don't know how many of you are adventurous with food. I am not. I like to know what I am eating. But it never stopped her from just creating all kinds of wonderful meals. And she also, in addition to these unique menus, she was always energetic playing with the kids, the grandkids. Even so much as like joining them in the woods and climbing a tree and trying to swing on a branch, which quickly broke. But she got a lot of credit for trying. And I was going to tell you the story about how when Seth was so proud that when, he told me how his son was in a play, not a great play. But Daniel, her beloved grandson, was in it. So what did she do? Like you said, she jumped in the car and she drove 12 hours, saw the play, loved it, told you how wonderful you are, turned around and came home. That's pretty wonderful. Something you can carry with you and share with your children. And then you told me something that everyone agreed on. You could call her anytime with any issue. And no matter what, she was always present. Whether you were sad or feeling silly or excited or you needed empathy. This is a quote that I want to share with you. She was always whatever I needed. And after her son, Derek, became deaf, his mother made sure that all the kids, everyone, as you were told, learn how to use sign language, as well as the kids in the neighborhood, to make sure that he could play just as much as anybody else with those children. She was an interpreter in third word school from 2nd to 5th grade with Derek. And then she was so devoted that even in her final moments, Lauren focused on making eye contact and signing to Derek and holding his hands until the end. Jessica told me her mother and grandmother's whole world stopped to take care of her when she broke her leg. And how much you love to cook with your mom. You could spend days cooking with your mom. Who knows what you were up to? What kind of food came out of those days? And this was a special bond that you had, that you shared. And your daughter, Rosemary, where are you, Rosemary? There you are. Loved to go to your grandmother's house, watching Barbie movies, and confess that there really wasn't a whole lot of supervision. So she got to, am I telling, well, you're older now, it's okay. You got to eat all of your favorite snacks, and like they magically appeared. And your grandmother just knew what you wanted. And there it was. What wonderful stuff as you're watching the Barbie movies. Now, Larry's wife, Carol. I can't see that far. I know you're sitting right there. There you go. Told me that she felt, this was, she's married to Lauren's cousin. Felt that they were more like girlfriends. And that they delighted in mom jokes. We all hear about dad jokes. The ones that my husband loves to tell, and I never find funny. But I would love to know what a mom joke is. You don't have to tell us now, but later on you can tell me what a mom joke is. And you shared all the important family issues. And you even had twins around the same time. Elijah, told me how he loved, as we were talking, and everybody was being exuberant with their love, how much he loved hearing all the beautiful things his family was sharing about his grandmother, remembering stories that brought him so much joy, that bring him so much joy. And he knew that even while being fun to talk to, his grandmother was always very good about teaching the family boundaries, about what's right. She never shied away from being honest about what was doable and what was right. And Lula, granddaughter Lula, told me, she loved Lauren's taste in clothes, in food, and more importantly, in people. Even with all this, these opinions, but she was gentle with them. She never pushed them on anyone. Lauren deeply loved her children and her husband. But even after she retired, she went back to work at after-school programs, which I can't tell you about because Corky's going to tell you about it, and he's going to say to me, I told you not to talk about it because I'm going to talk about it. But I know that she was very helpful with everybody in school. She was so bright. She could help with the essays and edited all their homework. And she had this amazing amount of good advice. She was an unbelievably good person. Lauren took care of her mother when she had cancer. She was a strong, giving, wonderful example of a parent. And yet, Lauren never wanted to have anyone take care of her. As time and the cancer progressed, no matter how badly she felt, whatever people did for her, she always said, thank you. Lauren's friends and family never had a moment of doubt how much she loved them and how much she loved you. Her beloved husband, Corky, her aunt Eleanor and cousins Larry and Carol, not her brothers Marty and David. And David at this time, who was not here in this room, is playing on his flute, am I right? He is playing music for his sister during this time on his flute, dedicating these moments to her. He did that for
His mother, Caroline.
Okay, his mother, yes. And Derek, Jessica, Stephen, Seth, Heather, and their children, Rosemary, Lula, Elijah, Daniel. I know I'm forgetting someone, don't get mad at me. I always get in trouble when I name anybody, so I feel important, it's important to name some of you. And all of you who are friends of the family. How greatly she would appreciate you being here for each other, for her, for the family. Now, I don't know if Lauren sewed or crocheted, but I was told Lauren knit the family together. And what a beautifully winning tapestry she wove. Because after all, they all know they had a champion. I would like to share one of her favorite songs before we, I think I could dedicate this to you, Corky. Let it go, my love, my truest. Let it go on silver wings. There's a twinkling, that's for certain, but it's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits. There's a festival of friends, and we'll take up where we left off. We all meet again. Can't explain it. I couldn't if I tried. How the only things we carry are the things we hold inside, like a day in the open, like the love we won't forget, like the laughter that we started and it hasn't died down yet. Oh, let it go, my love, my truest. Let it go on silver wings. There's a twinkling, that's for certain, but it's such a fine thing. There's a gathering of spirits. There's a festival of friends, and we'll take up where we left off. We all meet again, and we'll take up where we left off when we all meet again. Allow us a few moments to move the tiny screen front and center. And I know that Corky has an amazing tribute that he's going to share with us. And there is a bit of technology involved, so this was a rather gargantuan experience here, so good luck. I'm going to try and move my things out of your way.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. After we talked to Rabbi Charlene, at first my kids immediately gave me an assignment. They said, please create a presentation about Mom. And this is the result. And that's why they were up here helping me, because it's all because of you that I did this. Okay, let's see. Play. Yes. Okay, and lights off. And here we go. I met Lauren a couple of months after this picture was taken, in March of 1969. We were fixed up, and I phoned her to make plans before our Saturday night date. But it wasn't until I got to the door of her parents' house, looked at her, and thought of her name that it all clicked for me. I went to kindergarten with you, I blurted out. Oh, brother, Lauren thought, what a line. What a long evening this is going to be. But I persisted, so she went to her room and came back with her kindergarten picture. There you are, I said. Second from the right, first row. And which one was I? Well, I was the kid whose mother made him wear a tie and thought at the last minute I should look down to see if it was straight. Then I saw a camera flash. Uh-oh, I thought. We were also in 5th grade together at Boone School in West Rogers Park. She was, anyone want to guess? Third from the left, second row. I was third from the right, third row. And then our families moved to the suburbs, hers to Lincolnwood, mine to Skokie. But we were far from done with our first date discoveries. We discovered that we had both gone to Michigan for the same 4 years, but never met. Big school, right? There she is in our senior yearbook, and there I am 4 pages later. Then we both went to grad school in New York the next year. She at Columbia, me at NYU. But wait, I'm not finished. We discovered that we had been born a day apart. I was older, which was good because I believed men should marry women younger than they. She was named Lauren. How come? In Jewish tradition, you name a baby after a deceased ancestor, but not necessarily the full name, just the first initial. The baby's great-grandmother was named Lena, so L. How about that beautiful actress who just made her sensational movie debut? That's it, Lauren. Her parents, Carolyn and Harry, were very proud of their first child, who was well-behaved and, as you see here, a bit reserved. But she developed a quiet confidence as she grew, especially once she became an older sister, first to Marty and then to David. Was she a tomboy? Actually not. And she grew into a lovely young girl who mastered the come hither look. In 1971, I came hither and made the best decision of my life. On September 2nd, we were married in Lauren's Lincolnwood backyard as a solo violinist played Sunrise Sunset while we walked down the aisle. This was taken on our first anniversary. I learned a lot from living with Lauren that first year. Her values were much different than mine, and I soon realized a lot better. She was more grounded and never judged anyone based on their wealth. I started learning from her and slowly, I think, became a better person. By that time, we were eager to start a family. The next year, Lauren became pregnant, and in 1974, Seth arrived, along with his favorite toy, the Happy Apple, which he resembled. I saw what a fabulous mother Lauren was, and we both wanted another child. By the 7th month of her second pregnancy in 1977, Lauren was so huge that her obstetrician wanted to perform a special new test called an ultrasound to rule out twins. Lauren scoffed. "This is a new doctor. He doesn't know how big I was with Seth." Nonetheless, Lauren went for the test while I watched our little boy at home. When she returned and I opened the door, she wordlessly handed me something she had just purchased at the hospital gift shop. Ecstatic and thrilled by Lauren's clever way of conveying her major announcement, I ran to the record player and put on the Sesame Street LP. With our son in my arms, I danced as Lauren, so huge she could barely move, watched.
I've got 5 people in my family, and there's not one of them I swap. There is a sister and 2 brothers, and a mother, and a pup. Oh, 5 is such a pretty number. I'm awfully glad that I've 5 people in my family. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
But our mood of joy and state of exhaustion in the first year of our twins' lives turned somber halfway through when Derek contracted spinal meningitis. He was ultimately diagnosed as profoundly deaf. Lauren sprang into action. She got us into a sign language class, and once she had learned enough, she started giving classes to the neighborhood kids so they could communicate with Derek. She found therapists for each of our children so they could adjust to this unusual family dynamic. She started cooking with Jessica, who was, after all, a child whose twin required a lot of extra attention. We heard about this temple for the deaf in Skokie Congregation B'nai Shalom, so of course we joined. Lauren had originally wanted to be a journalist until her high school teacher told her that reporters had to learn how to lie. That turned her off, so she chose a profession for which she turned out to be extraordinarily gifted: teaching. Both her bachelor's and master's degrees were in education, and she taught for a few years until she became a stay-at-home mom. Then she kept her hand in by teaching Sunday school at B'nai Shalom. Among her students were our children, who all celebrated their bar and bat mitzvahs here. With high school approaching for Jessica and Derek, Lauren resumed her teaching career. Her advanced degree was in special ed, and the teaching position she held for 18 years was a huge challenge, a special ed class at a Waukegan middle school. She was very effective in an extremely tough job. When she retired, she didn't withdraw from her passion for working with children. She took a job in a before and after school daycare program near our home. When her youngsters would see her around the neighborhood, they excitedly called out to her by her chosen name, Granny T. Because Lauren was now a grandmother. Rosemary came first, followed by Lula, Daniel, and Eli. Lauren exhibited the same loving patience she always had, and our 4 grandchildren clearly adored her and were thrilled to play with her. The years flew by, And 3 summers ago, we commemorated our golden anniversary. COVID was still prevalent, and so we had our party outdoors in our backyard on a beautiful small lake on a warm afternoon. Yes, a backyard celebration, just like our wedding. We walked into the yard as our oldest grandchild played Sunrise Sunset on the violin. Then all 4 grandkids stood on the deck and addressed the assembled guests on the lawn. They conducted a quiz about our lives that they had made up. It was truly a golden afternoon, and like our wedding, it was sealed with a kiss. Very shortly thereafter, Lauren started feeling neck pain. It turned out to be something that couldn't be ameliorated by physical therapy. The last 3 years were very difficult for her. She rarely expressed her constant pain and always said thank you when I fulfilled her requests. You know, when you live with someone for 53 years, you inevitably take them somewhat for granted in the course of your daily life together, despite the birthday and anniversary and Valentine's Day cards expressing your love. At least I did. But in looking at all the pictures of Lauren over the years to prepare this tribute, in seeing all the warmth and happiness she expressed in the photos of the 2 of us, it underscores what a special person she was and how extraordinarily fortunate I was that she chose me. And so, in response to all those soft thank yous she uttered over the last 3 excruciating years, I say, no, Lauren, thank you.
How about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's get this out of here too.
Yeah. Wow. No. I know you've done a lot of presentations, but can I say that this is your best? Before we start our visitation, with each other during the Shiva portion of this day, I'm sorry, I'm so moved it's hard for me to speak up. Okay, there are 2 traditional prayers that we say at every one of our Jewish funerals, and they are written in your handout, and if you don't have, please share. El Malei Rachamim is a beautiful, beautiful prayer. It describes how her soul, Lauren's soul, was not only protected, but escorted up to Olam Haba, which is the world to come, or heaven. People say, do Jews believe in heaven? Oh, yes. Do Jews believe in angels? Oh, yes. And the people that, the spirits that are protecting her soul are angels. Angels surrounding her. Everyone here has angels. And they are protecting you, and you can take advantage of that. But for sure, Lauren's soul has been escorted up by the 4 archangels, carefully protecting her soul and guiding it to be with God and her family. It was passed before her. So, and I do always add this, if you don't believe in angels, that's okay, because I believe in them enough for all of you. So if you could rise and read with me the English of El Malei Rachamim. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwells on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence, among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Lauren Judith Troy, who has gone on to their eternity. Lord of mercy, bring her under the cover of thy wings, and let her soul be bound up in bond of eternal life. Be God's possession, and may her repose be peace. Amen. El malei rachamim, shochein b'mromim, hamatzei menucha, nechonat achat kanfei, ashechina. Im kedoshim utohorim kazahar rakia mazhirim et nishma Lauren Judith Troy Shahalcha Leolama Ba'al HaRachamim Yastireha B'Seiter Kenafav Leolamim B'Yitzror HaChayim Et Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachalatam V'tanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkavar V'nomar Amen. And if you would join me in reading Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah Yoma v'vrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomachon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi Shemam Ilam Olmei Omaya Yitparach v'yistavah Yitpa'ar v'yivraman v'yitnaseh V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemed, gudusha, brichu, le'ela mikol, v'chata v'shirata, tishbachata v'nechamata, tamiran, v'yalma, v'imru, Yehei, shlama, rabim, v'shamayim, v'chayim, aleinu v'yalkol, Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Aseh shalom, b'mrama, huya, aseh shalom, aleinu v'yalkol, Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Thank you all so, so much. This concludes the memorial portion of the day, and I invite you to stay and share food and drink and words and love with each other. I think everything is in preparation behind the magic wall. And I also would like to announce that Shiva will continue at Troy's house in the Troy house in Mundelein, and I don't have the address or that information. But
Give it now?
sure, yes, please give it now.
926 Lucerne Court, Mundelein. Put it on your GPS. And it's from 11 to 3. I thought with all the seniors among our friends, we should do this during the day, in the middle of December. And
So that will be tomorrow and Monday?
tomorrow and Tuesday.
Tomorrow is Monday.
Yes.
Oh, nice. I have no idea what day it is. So,
And Tuesday,
and Tuesday
you are
is,
doing something else.
yeah, and I'm doing something completely different. And, thank you for even thinking of that at this time. So thank you all so much, and please, hopefully the chairs can be moved to a way that people can have some freedom of movement in the back. Feel free to help out with that, and, yes.
Possible the food isn't here yet, we told them 2:30, and.
Oh, the food,
2:15? Okay.
are we done early? We're done early. I'm never done early.
Sing another song.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think the beverages are out. So feel free to help yourself to something to drink, and then the food will arrive shortly. The food is here, so give it a few minutes and enjoy.